Okay, then we're going to go ahead and have remarks at this point. And the first person I'd like to invite up is Brother Joe Puentes. Brother Joe is a member of Henry Lodge 57, and he's one of the younger Masons we have in the Lodge. And he was, until recently, a student at George Mason University with some of our other students, to include my son, Andrew Shelton, and Mike C. is here as a student, Ron Kellogg. Ron, is that, did I forget anybody else? Ira Dreyfus in the back, there's another one. So some of the young guys wanted to see what they could do with Masonry, and I'd like to have Joe take a minute to tell you a little bit about the story of that.
Most worshipables, bright worshipables, better than all, lovely ladies. I was told about 2 weeks ago about having to make this speech. It hasn't been working out too well. But I think I got some good coaching a couple minutes ago outside, and I think it's right. Most worshipful Ed Cohen, I asked him, I said, I don't know how you guys do these speeches. And he said, remember that you're with your brothers. You're with people that care about you, and you're with people that love you. And so long as you're with family, it's okay. So I had a speech prepared, but I threw it out, and I'm going to speak from the heart. And I think if any of you guys know me, you know that's what I do best. I'm very academic, though I just recently completed my master's time from London School of Economics. So I'm a little bit smart. A little bit. So the master told me I had the opening act, and I said, cool, opening act, that means not everybody's going to be there yet, right? So I can do whatever I want. Doesn't work out. Everybody's in the house. You're going to have to come my A game. How did this lodge come about? How did it come to be? And it's kind of tough for me to say this, but it came from my idea. And that's the first time that I've ever said that, because this has been a collective effort. But I think one thing that we all need to realize in this life is that we all have our own role and our own position to play. And greatness can't be done by just one person. And so we all sit around and we all got our nice bow ties looking real lovely, looking real stylish. And yes, it was my idea, but it was John's work. It was Andrew's work. It was Ron's work. It was Brother Ralph Smith's work. Most worshipful Ed Cohen, who believed in me when he was Grandmaster and took time out to listen to my presentation, my words on what I was trying to do. To my brother Tom Hennessy, who's not a Mason, but took me in and sat me down and took time out of his schedule to talk about my future, about what I want to do. He's a commissioned officer, knows everybody, and he takes 10 minutes out of his time and invests in me. Gentlemen, that's brotherhood. That's what we're here for. And sometimes we lose sight of that. And we lose sight of all the things that we can accomplish by just investing in people. And today, in society today, you see less and less of that. You see more and more people that just get off on the sadness of other people. Get excited that they have everything in the world. They have the $1 million houses and the executive limo suite and all access pass. But the kid next to them, they're not thinking about it. And so, I grew up with a lot of brothers. I have 4 brothers, one of which is here today. My father had 8 brothers. I'm somewhat of a brotherhood specialist. So I come to George Mason, and I never knew about fraternities, and I joined TEAC, Tau Kappa Epsilon, finest fraternity in town. If you're not part of it, I'm sorry. And I joined TEAC, and I found brotherhood that I was kind of had at home. And we doing great things, and I was really active, just chaplain, and moved up to presidency. And we were active. We got to do volunteer work, and we got to raise money for a little child that had cerebral palsy, Alexander, and we raised money for him. And I loved it. I liked putting on blood drives and being able to give blood and doing these great things. Well, one day I'm sitting in the Johnson Center, and in comes this guy. I'd never seen him before. He's just a little skinny guy, but he's got his G hat. He's got a little hat, and it's got a G, square and compass. And he's sitting across from me right now. And I'll never forget it. It's just like yesterday. And for many of you guys that are standing here that weren't a part, I get emotional about this. That was Andrew Shelton. And he comes in and I see the G, and I just became a Mason. And I got so excited because I found a brother. I hadn't met one. I mean, there aren't too many young guys. I mean, I've been around with Ralph that year. With Most Worshipful Ed was Grandmaster. We did a lot of traveling. When I found a young guy, boy, I held on to him tight. I held on for dear life. Because there ain't too many of us out there. And so I saw Andrew and I said, "Oh man, are you a Mason?" He said, "Yes, sir. Acacia Lodge." I said, "I'm Henry Lodge. You go to George Mason too?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Please come out, come to my lodge, and I'll go to your lodge. And let's just," that's what we did. We just hung out. Two Masons at Mason, we just hung out. Went fishing. I've never been hunting. He took me out on my first hunting trip. I didn't know that. Took me out to the country. So then I meet Andrew and we start talking. And I start telling him a little bit about my ideas about how Masonry should be for everybody. I mean, I found Masonry in one summer. I lose 60 pounds. I changed my GPA. My GPAs before then were 2.6, 2.5. After the semester I became a Mason, I didn't get anything less than a 3.8, 3.9. Because it made me a better man. I sat on Ralph Smith's couch, and he made me a better man. My catechism's instructions weren't just words, they were principles. There was something to really think about. And Ralph, being the mentor that he is, would sit there for hours, talking about the dumbest thing. Telling about girls that broke my heart. Telling about my brother took my last piece of chicken. And like a good father and like a good mentor, he sat down and he listened every time. Because he was investing in something. Yeah, he doesn't care if somebody picked on me. He doesn't care. I'm just a young kid in love again. But he invested in me on that couch. And said, I'm gonna give him the time, and I'm gonna give him everything I can. Gentlemen, we are here because of a brother's love. We're here because of Ralph Smith. And if you don't know Ralph Smith and what he means to everybody in this room, please, guys, take the time out today to go shake the man's hand. He's the greatest Mason that any of you all will ever know. He's done a lot for us. And so I guess I'm just here. There's not much history to talk about. I met Andrew. I met Ron one day at Hooters because he was trying to pledge my fraternity, and he saw my ring. And he says, "You?" I said, "Yeah." So we go in the huddle in the little corner. I said, "You're a Mason?" "Yeah, I'm a Mason. You want to be my brother?" "Okay, cool." So we joined the fraternity. And then we would sit out at dinners at Henry Lodge and just talk for hours about being brotherhood, about spreading it. And I'd tell them about how disenfranchised I would feel at school walking around and being so proud of something that I've done and not being able to tell anybody that I was a Mason. Not being able to go and start a blood drive on behalf of the Masons. Not just because I was teak, but I wanted to show the other side that I was proud of. I looked around, not many politicians these days talk about I'm a Mason. There aren't too many men out there that will stand up and say, "I'm a Mason, and I'm proud of it." And that's what I hope this lodge will accomplish. I hope that this gets us one step closer to spreading something that's lasted us a lifetime beyond any of us that we've been here. Something that people before us, after us, and forever can be proud of. And so I finish with this. We're all sitting here and we're all dressed very, very nice and everybody looks really good. But there's two things I want to leave you on. First, that the work is not done. This is just the beginning. We still face an uphill battle. We still face a lot of people that don't want to see change. They don't want to see an academic lodge come up. And that's the reality, guys. We face these things. But if we stick together and we promote what's right, then it can happen. And if we don't, then it won't happen. So I don't want people to get too excited about tonight. We all look good, but let's keep it going. The fight begins now. The work begins now. The ritual practices, the correspondence with the university, reaching out to the young men, the blood drive next month that we'll hopefully have organized with my fraternity. These sort of things that we really need to get going. Let's not forget in behind our tuxedos. And this is the last thing that I really, really encourage you all to do is, gentlemen, this goes out to all of my accomplished men in the building, which are a lot. There are men near you and around you that are my age that need you. And I'm not saying give yourself freely of people. I know that people abuse your position as man of stature, and they just want you for whatever it is that they want, and they just don't really care about you. But if you see a young man, and you say, hey, I see some potential in him, invest in him. If you see a student, invest in him. And I promise you won't be disappointed. I know Ralph is sitting back there proud. He's proud because I'm standing here, 26 years old, and all he did was invest. This is the return on Ralph's work. And I'd like to see all you guys have academic lodges everywhere, or whatever it is that you want to accomplish. But invest in someone. Leave something with someone. Nobody's going to be able to take your rank with you, your money. And these guys, they're not as outgoing as me. My brother's not as willing to talk to people. Andrew's a bit shyer than me. So be that man for him. Be that mentor. And we can really, 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 really do some things. I love this lodge. I love you all. And I look forward to meeting you all. And God bless this, the Patriot Lodge. God bless George Mason. God bless you all. Thank you very much.